Good morning. How are you, Fatimata? I don't know if our microphone is working. Okay, I think I can hear you now. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
And you good?
All
Good morning,
right.
Mr. John. Good morning, everybody.
Hello, Gada. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank God.
Well, so how did we do after the storms? Were everybody okay?
Okay, okay. But it was terrible.
Well, it definitely was terrible in a lot of places around the state.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
kept up with the news and a lot of damage along the states. A lot of
yeah.
trees crashed on the homes and the cars, and some homes crashed.
Yeah. So near where I live, I live near Erlanger, and I think they said a tree fell on one of the houses there.
Yes, and they rescued the man. Yes, and I saw that. I saw the picture of the home, and
Yes.
the trees crashed on it. Yes, yes.
Yeah. 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 So it was definitely a pretty long night. I'm pretty
Yes.
tired. So, all
I think it
right.
was from 12 to 2 a.m. It was
I think that's
yes,
about that's
yes.
about when I went to sleep, I think. Yeah. All right. So May and Siham, are you guys okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. May, everything okay there?
Yeah, but just my house's basketball hole it fought last night.
Well,
I
sir.
was I was put a lot of heavy stuff on it, but it still fall because last night's big heavy wind.
Yeah. Yeah, I could certainly hear the wind outside, but I'm looking around and I don't really see that I have any, like I'm looking out my window. I don't see any trees or tree branches. Yeah, so that nothing blew away too much here. But yeah, I definitely around the state, Ohio, Kentucky, lots of places
A
had
lot of
lots of
damage.
problems. Yeah. So
Yes.
I guess we'll
Is it
start.
expected to continue the heavy rain and
Well,
some
actually, we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to talk about that right now. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the weather. So hello, Fatima.
Hello, how are you?
Good
I'm
morning, Good morning, Mr. John. How are you?
yeah. So we have a Fatimata. Do you go by Fatimata? Is that right?
Yeah.
Fatimata, yes.
Yeah, because we have two Fatimas here. Then oh no,
Yeah, you have too much Fatimat now.
I know
Fatimata.
that's right. So we'll say Fatimata and Fatima.
Fatimata.
Okay.
Fatimata.
Yeah. So yeah,
But
she.
the first one, I know that there is
Yeah.
another
Well, it's
like mine's Fatimata Cup.
yeah.
Fatimata
Fatimata.
Ken.
Well, so it's sometimes we do have students with the same name, and online it can be a little confusing, right? So yeah, we'll have to we'll have to see about
That's me, just Fatima.
it.
Fatimata. It's like a Elias name, Fatima.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, why don't we go ahead? Why don't we go ahead and get started? And again, I'm sure some people will join us here. And so we were talking about the weather in my class yesterday. So, of course, I hope everyone did get our emails about emergency preparation. So, I'd like to talk, though, specifically about our next weather situation. And that is, of course, rain. We are supposed to get a lot of rain in the next few days. So, of course, that causes the problem of flooding. So, flooding, of course, is when the little rivers and creeks get a lot of water and it starts to get over the road, possibly, in the street, on your houses. So I thought we would take a few minutes and talk about this situation And just to talk about being careful when we're driving, especially on the road, because that is going to be the problem here for the next several days. We will have lots of rain, and that can cause problems too. So we're going to talk about that here this morning. And then I do have an expression that I think is a perfect expression to talk about with our weather from last night. And of course, again, this season here in the springtime, we can get this kind of weather. Okay, so if you're new to the Kentucky area, I got bad news. This is kind of common. Now, we don't normally have this, this many tornadoes or bad weather, but we can get bad weather. So that's something to think about. And then we're going to start just kind of going back and reviewing a little bit of the topics we've been talking about, and especially just introducing the idea of what we call our clauses. So we'll kind of talk more about that in the second part of our class. Okay, so I hope everyone is okay, but let's talk about what's happening here in the next few days. So let's review what to do when we see flooding on a road. Now, flooding, of course, is when we see lots of water on a road when we're driving. Now, of course, some water, when it rains, we do see water on the road. That's true. But I do want to make sure we understand that when we see high water, right, like a lot of water, and this can happen very quickly. Here in northern Kentucky, we have lots of little roads and lots of little creeks, places where water can rise very quickly. So the first thing I would like to share with everybody is if you see water, lots of water on the road, don't try to drive through it. Okay, now sometimes you see people who try to drive through high water, and that is a terrible idea. So if you see a lot of high water on the road or under a bridge or overpass, like you see in this little video right here, that is a bad idea. Remember, your life is more important than your car. I know here in America, right, we have cars and trucks and people drive those things, but your life is more important. Okay, so let's watch a little video. I'm going to share this video. This video is from one of the news channels, and it's going to talk for just a moment. It's not very long. It's a very short video, but it's going to talk about what to do when it comes to when we see water on the road. Okay, so let's watch the video. Let's talk about it, and then we're going to ask you some questions. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my microphone and camera. Let's watch this video. Again, it's very short.
Anytime we have major flooding events, very heavy rainfall, unfortunately, the images are all too common of cars being swept right off the road. Many times the driver still inside and water rescues taking place. It only takes a little bit of water to carry your car off the road. In fact, 6 inches of water will sweep you, me off of our feet. 1 foot of water will float your car, and it only takes 2 feet of water to completely wash your car away. That's why we say it's so important to turn around, don't drown. If you don't know how much water is there, do not drive through it because it could be deadly.
Okay, now, as I said, very short, but some good pieces of information. So let's review a couple of things from the video. And when we're finished here today, I will share the video with you. So thinking about the video again, I'm going to hit the play button, but I'm going to turn off the sound for just a moment. Okay, so as we look here in this first scenes, so when we get lots of rain, now remember, when it rains, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a big amount of rain. Even a little bit of rain will cause water to get on the road. So sometimes you're driving, maybe you see water, on the sides of the road. You think, oh, it's okay, I can still drive. But if it continues to rain, it does not take much for that water to get on the road. So as we were saying in the video, when we see flooding, right, that means a lot of rain, a lot of water on the road. It doesn't take much. Sometimes you see this on the news, right? Cars People are inside of the cars thinking they can drive over the water. All right, so let's talk about this first piece of advice. So everybody turn on your microphones. Come on, everybody, turn on those microphones. Let's repeat this advice. Let's say this together. Turn around, don't drown. Everybody, let's say it. Ready?
Turn
Around,
Don't
don't drown.
drown.
Now, when we say drown, of course, we mean where the water, gets over our head and we don't live. So when you see water on the road, turn around. Now, you might say, Mr. John, what if it's just a little bit of water? Okay, that's probably okay. But if you see other cars, if you watch other cars and they're trying to go through the water and the water is very deep, for example, when you watch, let's continue to look at the video, right? Fatima?
Yeah, we shouldn't take risks in this.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We should not try to take risks. But again, let's watch here and let's see what she's talking about. So, for example, 6 inches of water. Now, I realize that many of you maybe aren't so familiar with inches. Okay, this is what we use here in the United States, right? So 6 inches is about this much. This is 6 inches of water right here. Okay, now what she is saying is if you're standing in this water, just 6 inches of water, that's enough to take you off your feet. Like you try to walk through 6 inches, especially if the water is running. That's enough to take you off your feet. That's enough to make you fall. And it's true, right? It is true. Just about 6 inches is this much water. So that is also pretty dangerous for your car. Now, your car is probably going to be okay, but not a good idea to try to drive through 6 inches of water. Not a good idea. Okay, but notice what she says next. 1 foot of water. Now remember, 6 inches is half of 1 foot. Now class, if you look at my video screen, this is about 1 foot. Okay, so that's almost, if you look at the picture there, see where the water is on the tires of your car? That's about halfway up to your tire level on your car. So look what she says. 1 foot of water will float your car off the ground. So if your car is on the street, if it's parked, for example, and the water gets up to about 1 foot, that can take your car away. I know, that's surprising, isn't it? So again, when you see water on the street, 1 foot is already pretty dangerous. Now again, let's continue with what she's talking about. Now, 2 feet, of course, that is absolutely the maximum. You should never try to drive. You should not try to drive in 1 foot of water. But 2 feet, okay, that's twice as much, right? You can't even see it in my screen. So 2 feet will wash your car away. It can take your car. So if you're trying to drive through 2 feet of water, yeah, your car may not make it. Okay, so those are some things to think about as she's giving us this advice. So even looking at this video right here, if you notice, look at where his tires are. That's only about 2 feet of water right there. That is not, that's not like the ocean. That's not a river. That's only about 2 feet of water. So it does not take much for your car to get swept away. So remember what we said. Turn around, don't drown. See what they're trying to do? See that video, people trying to drive? Bad idea. Very bad idea. Okay? So let's review. Now, class, we're going to use emojis to respond. Now, Fatimata, I don't know if this is your first time using Google Meet, but the emojis, do you know where the emojis are, Fatimata? Have you used the emojis before? Okay, so if you're using a phone, so I don't know if you're using a phone, Fatimata, but the emojis can be found with you might see those little 3 dots, those 3 little dots. So let me show you if you're using your phone. Okay, so let me show you, okay? So if you're using the emojis, Okay, you can find them right here. If you're using your phone, right, do you see those 3 little dots there? If you click on the 3 dots, these are the emojis. Okay, do you see those?
Okay. You see?
Okay, good. So we're going to use those emojis, and you can use them to answer this question. All right, so class, I have 4 sentences here, or 3 sentences. And what I would like for you to tell me is which one of these is true. All right, so if you think this one's true, use this emoji. If you think this one's true, use this emoji. If you think this one's true, use this emoji. All right, so let's take a look. So the first one says, if you can see the road on the other side of the water, it's okay to drive through it. If you see other people driving through the water, you're okay to drive through it. Or finally, if you see a lot of water on the road, you should try to turn around and go in a different direction. All right, so class, which one is the true sentence? Which one is the true sentence? Okay, all right, so I see a lot of people choosing their answers now. Okay, so the answer is this one here.
3.
That's right, the last one there. If you see a lot of water on the road and you don't feel comfortable, then don't drive through it. So what should you do?
You turn
around.
around and go
around.
in a different direction.
So that's the idea. Go in a different direction. Turn around and go the other way. Don't try to drive through it. Now, look at the first choice again. Some people think, well, I see water, but I can see the road on the other side. It's okay. I can drive through it. No,
No.
because you don't know how deep the water is, right? No, that's a bad idea. And also, if you see other people driving through the water, okay, well, I'm going to tell you what my mother always told me. Okay, listen carefully. My mother, when I would say, Mom, other people are doing this, right? Well, this is what my mother would say. My mother would say, if other people are jumping off a bridge, would you follow those people?
No.
No, of course not. Yeah, so if other people are doing crazy things, that does not make it okay, right? So just remember, if you see a lot of water on the road, don't try to drive through it, okay? Now, guys, we're supposed to get a lot of rain, so don't.
Because you don't know the depth of water.
That's right, Adeline. So don't try it, okay? Don't try it. Okay, now here's my next. Fatima, go ahead, Fatima.
Don't be strong in this situation.
Well, don't be crazy in this situation.
Sometimes we say I can't do that.
Yeah, we think we can do anything, right? Yeah. Remember,
it's dangerous for your life.
That's right. And remember, your car is not a boat. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, now here's the next one. Let's see if you remember the number. Okay, so in the video, she said, you should not drive on the road if the water is at least how much in depth? So just to remind you, 3 inches, 6 inches, a foot, or 2 feet. Now, which one was the minimum, at least the minimum that you should not drive? Okay. All right, so I see some people choosing maybe 1 foot, which I think is a good answer, but I think probably we should choose this one. I think if it's even 6 inches, remember what she said? 6 inches is enough to make you fall, right? Just walking. So even with your car, I would probably say 6 inches would be the good answer. 1 foot is pretty dangerous. And of course, 2 feet is too dangerous. So my advice is you probably should not drive if it's 6 inches or even, a foot or even 6 inches. Okay. So I think both answers are fine, but I would probably say don't try to drive in 6 inches because remember, even 6 inches, of water, right? Even this much can be a problem. Okay? All right. So pay attention, class, to the weather for the next few days because we are supposed to get a lot of rain. And just be careful. Okay? All right. Well, guys, I hope this was a helpful little lesson for you this morning. Yes, Gata.
But there is no thunderstorm or any tornado anymore, right?
Well, keep in mind, like we said, I think the tornado activity is finished for now, but the next problem could be wind and rain. Now, we don't know how much, but we think it's going to be a lot.
Mhm.
And remember, we're talking about starting today all the way to next Sunday or Monday. So
Mhm.
remember what we said, it's going to rain each day. So that means that more and more water is going to collect. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's not going to be just one storm. It's going to be many, many days of rain. So, okay. I hope that was helpful for us. And like I said, I'll share this information when we're finished here today. All right, now let's talk about a new expression that can help explain a little bit. Maybe you felt this way last night, right? You thought the situation was maybe dangerous, and you needed to be careful and to protect yourself. So, guys, I have a new expression for us to learn here this morning. So, everyone, again, let's turn on our microphones for just a moment. Let's say this new expression together. Okay. All right. So, everybody, repeat after me. To ride out the storm.
To
ride
ride
out
out
the
the
storm.
storm.
Okay, now you can turn off your microphones there for a moment. Now, of course, the expression to ride out the storm basically is what happened last night. You were in your house, maybe you were in your apartment, maybe you were in a safe place, and you were waiting for the storm to pass. Right? Now, of course, many places around Kentucky and Ohio, yes, they had tornadoes or strong winds, all kinds of damage. Hopefully people are, alive. Hopefully no one died. But in this case, when we use the expression to ride out the storm, it basically means we wait for the difficult situation to pass. Now, that means a real storm, like a tornado or hurricane or bad winds. So we can use it, of course, in that way. So, for example, if I asked everyone, did you ride out the storm okay last night? I hope everybody would say, yes, we did. We rode out the storm, right? We survived. We waited patiently and the storm passed. Now, that doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Maybe this morning you woke up and saw trees, falling down, or maybe you had some damage, but hopefully everyone is okay. So, but we can also use this expression in our life. For example, sometimes we have problems in our life that will happen to us, kind of like a storm, right? Sometimes we get problems in our life. So you will notice that this expression is often used in relation to the problems people might have in their life. So not just the storm outside, right? Not just rain or thunderstorm, but also you may have a storm in your life, maybe some problems in your life. So if you think about this expression, right, it kind of makes sense. The expression, where the expression came from, it came from the idea of being on a boat, right? So look at my picture there. Think about many, many years ago, people would be on a boat. Now that's very dangerous, right? You're on a boat and here comes a storm. What can you do? Can't do much of anything, right? It's too dangerous to swim. It's too dangerous to wait for another boat to come and save you. So when people would ride out the storm, what that meant was when boats or ships would face difficult storms at sea. So there is a where this expression came from, an origin to this expression. But the idea is we can also use it to talk about our life. So if you have difficult situations in your life, then you can say, I am trying to ride out the storm. So maybe it's many different difficulties in our life. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take that expression and we're going to practice it in a short dialogue. So now, again, Fatimata, sometimes we do dialogues with a partner, okay?
Me?
But so the other Fatima, right? Fatima. So I'm just explaining. So what we do is we often do dialogues.
You.
Okay. So the idea is, in just a moment, you're going to practice this dialogue with a partner. And then at the bottom of the screen, I have a question for you to discuss. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And what we're going to do is go into the breakout room. So the breakout room is where we go when we do like little partner activities. Okay, so I'm going to get our groups together here. Okay. All right. So guys, our rooms are ready. So Fatimata, you will see a little message that says go to the breakout room. So you will go into the breakout room. Class, I will join you and share the link to the activity. And then we will try the activity. And you can discuss the question with your partners. All right. So class, get ready. We're going to go into the breakout room now. All right, Jasmine, are you there? Okay. All right, Fatimata, are you here? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So, Fatimata, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Or
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. So we're going into the breakout room. Okay. That means we leave this room and we go into another room. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here's Meredy. Hey, Meredy.
Hey.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to send both of you to the same room. Okay.
Okay.
And Miriam is waiting there. So I'm going to send both of you there. So Fatimata, you might get a message to go into the breakout room. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
let's so let's do it again. Let's try it again. Okay.
Break out.
Okay. So here we go.
Hi.
Yeah, we should go back.
We go back now?
Hi.
You can if you're ready. I think Adeline. Don't think she knows where she is. Okay. All right, I think we're waiting just for a couple more people. We've had a couple of technical problems here this morning, so hopefully didn't have any problems. Gotta?
So I want to ask about something. The last question in the question, what do you do, or what do you
Yeah,
write?
I'm sorry. It looks like I forgot a word. Yeah, what do you do? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so we'll fix that there. Let's fix that. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been was pretty tired when I wrote it. What do you do to ride out a storm? Okay. Okay, and
Thank you.
why don't we highlight that too? Okay. All right. Okay, now what I'd like to do here first is let's talk about the dialogue. Okay, let's look at the dialogue. In fact, I'm going to ask maybe a couple of people here to read the dialogue for us. So maybe Huang, you could be person A in the dialogue, and Meredy, would you like to be person B?
Sure.
Okay, so go ahead and start, Huang.
Okay, teacher. Did you hear the bad news?
What? What happened?
Everybody in the sales department lost their jobs yesterday. They were fired.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes, our apartment may be next.
Well, let's hope we can ride out this storm and be okay.
So let's talk about the situation in the dialogue. So what is the situation in the dialogue? What is the problem? What could we say about it? What is the problem in this? Yeah, Huang, what is it?
So,
What is the problem?
People sell apartment. They were fired. They
That's-
lost a job.
So that's a pretty bad thing, isn't it? So like a whole
Yeah.
department can lose their job, right?
Mhm.
So in this situation, when we talk about the storm, right? So the storm is talking about this big problem, right? This everybody losing their jobs. So when we think about the word storm, right, we don't think about small problems, right? Storms are big problems that we might have. Now, for example, you go to the refrigerator and there's no ice cream. Is that a storm? Is that a big
No,
problem? Really?
no.
You sure? I don't know, Meredy. Sometimes I need ice cream.
I don't think it's a big problem
You
because
don't think so?
I can go out like maybe later to get another one. But
Okay.
if I lost the job right now, like I'm gonna have to go like looking for a job. It can take me like many days to get a new job.
So that's a big problem, isn't
Mhm.
it? Yeah. So that's the important thing to remember. When we talk about riding out a storm, these are just like the weather. These things happen in our lives. Sometimes we cannot control it. Sometimes they happen. So just like in the situation here where everyone lost their jobs, for example, which is a terrible thing, we have to try to find a way to, deal with the problem. So one of the things that we can think about, riding out a storm requires patience. So let's talk for just a moment about you guys. It's hard to be patient, isn't it? It's hard to be patient and calm. Instead, we might be nervous and worried, right? So let's talk about that for a moment. So how many people here would be very nervous and worried in these kinds of situations? So how many people here would say, yes, Mr. John, I get nervous and worried, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, these are serious things. So I think it's natural to feel this way. I think it is, right? Okay. Now, what about the patient and calm people? Do we have patient and calm people here in the class? Everyone's like this. Well, I think it's natural, isn't it? It's natural to feel like problems cause these kinds of problems.
Yeah, because it's not easy to be patient and calm on this situation.
I think so.
Yeah, and the first time you're gonna be like so nervous and like saying where am I gonna find another job? How? And
Yeah, what are we
Like,
going to do? Yeah,
yeah.
so for example, last night, I mean, I feel like people who may have had strong winds, maybe they destroyed their house, or maybe, yeah, I
Yes.
mean, yeah, we can't imagine something like that. So I think in many ways
Yeah.
yeah,
Like even yesterday, my cousin said that she lost her job and she was
oh,
crying. So she
no.
was kind of like so nervous, saying, "Am I gonna find another job again? Go to the like working some like every day to find a job. It's not gonna be easy for me. I do have kids uh, and she's pregnant." So she was kind of like she
Oh,
was like so
wow.
nervous yesterday.
Well,
And
gosh, I feel really bad. That is definitely a storm. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I do feel I'm sorry to hear that. So yeah, so I think now let's think about though the last question. What do we do to ride out these storms? So what do we do? So for example, Merity, it sounds like maybe your cousin called you on the phone to get some suggestion, advice, or maybe to make them feel better.
So the first time I feel so bad for her.
Hmm.
And after that, I just taught her that to be patient. Maybe she's gonna find another one. She's gonna just go to like find some like another job.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe she called you and wanted to talk to you to get some advice, maybe.
Mm. So she calls me like she didn't have like anybody to kind of like to speak out. So she wanted like speak out like tell every like somebody that she lost her job and maybe she can be calm and she's not gonna be like nervous again.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So again, maybe something we do is we try to talk to a friend.
Hmm.
If we don't have anybody to talk to, we try to call them on the phone or maybe go see them or visit them. Okay. All right,
Hmm.
Meredith, that sounds like a good piece of advice. Agata, what else? What else maybe could we do to ride out a storm?
Yes, in my religion, for example, if we are anxious or very worried or nervous, we have to change our position. If we are sitting, we have to stand up, or if we're standing up, we have to sit, and we need to prayer, or we need to do physical work, like walking, like doing something else, to um, to not to
Hmm.
overthinking, and to focus on another situation, not to be nervous or
Yeah.
worried.
Yeah, I think so. So, for example, we might consider if we have a religious practice or a religious belief, whether it's go to a mosque or church or something that might help us, thinking about maybe praying, that might give us something to do to help us deal with these problems. Okay.
Or some meditation to relax,
Meditation.
to be relaxed. Yes.
Yeah, let's put that on the screen there. I think that could be a helpful thing to meditation. Yeah, so maybe meditation might help. Prayer might help us. Okay.
It's a useful way to overcome the obstacle of being nervous. I have some friends that helps him very well.
So and of course, yeah, we could talk to people. Get some advice. Okay. So talk to friends, for example. Adeline, what were you going to say?
You wanna get the solution,
Okay.
look for a solution.
So how do you do that, Adeline? How do you look for a solution if you have a problem in your life? What do you do?
I can say when, for example, when I have a fire in my house,
Okay.
first of all, I need to look for a solution to call 911. They wanna come to do anything for the house,
Yeah. So especially
and the situation can go away.
yeah. So for example, is it an emergency? Yeah, that would be a very different solution, right? If it's something we need to fix now, like you said, a fire or some kind of problem in the house or apartment. Okay, that's a. I think we need a solution immediately, right? Okay. All right. Any other suggestions? Any other advice? Anything else we like to do if we have a problem? Any storm we need to ride out? Yeah. Okay. So Agata says, I don't know, Agata, that might be a little strong, don't you think? Okay. All right, Fatima, what were you going to say?
I think it's depends the situation and problem. Sometimes there is problem if there is a emergency. We can't be calm and to take our time to find the solution. But if there is a problem like when we lost, for example, job, I think that sometimes I didn't like this job, and when I say that I think it's a good idea to change the job that I
Mhm.
didn't like. Yeah, it's for that the situation and the problem uh, who 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 can not affect, but who can I don't know.
No,
To be
well,
calm, yeah, to be calm or to be calm or to be very patient
patient.
and calm,
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
patient or not.
Well, I certainly think
Yeah.
that if we're in a bad situation, if we can try to change the situation, that's true. If we don't like the job, for example, maybe we can try to look for another one. That's not always easy, of course, but I agree that we can try to change our circumstance or situation. All right, let's take maybe one or two more ideas. So, Adeline, what else were you going to say?
Okay, you can ask the help for your friend or your family.
Okay, family can be very helpful at the time, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we can talk to friends and family. All right, I like that. Okay. All right, and Gada, what were you going to say?
I'd like to share some ideas with you and my friends that talking to strange people can be very helpful. People we don't know at all, like a passenger in a train, on a train, or on a plane, or on a bus. It's be very useful. Another way to relieve that my therapy advised me to do, to writing down all the details about the situation, or
Mm.
about the problem I have. It will be very helpful also, that I can get rid of all stress when I writing it down.
Well, I certainly think that that's something that many times people talk about. Maybe writing down what's happening to you can help you think about it and give you more time to think about it. I think that's a very helpful idea. Many times we are so, we're so nervous or so worried about something, we don't take the time to calm down and try. So writing is a good way to do that. Now, I'm not really good at just like writing with my with the pen or
Yes.
pencil. My handwriting is terrible. So if I try to write with my hand, that only gives me more frustration. So I
We
might,
may sometimes we may exaggerate about the situation, how big the situation is, and when we are writing it down,
yeah.
it will be clear
I
that
think it's just depend on
very simple.
people's, because some people's may not like be able to write something on that time. They
Sure.
may just think about the situation and said what happened. So they're gonna just think at first what happened before that situation just come, and they're gonna just like try to find a solution after thinking about like everything.
Well, for example, Merity, one thing I might recommend is use the voice memo app on your phone. One thing you could do is talk. Maybe just talk to yourself. So,
Mhm.
on your phone, you've got the little voice thing where you can record yourself when you're talking. sometimes that could be very helpful, just to talk about the problem. If you don't have a friend to talk to or
Yeah,
someone
like me,
there.
I don't use like the voice memo. I just like talk by myself. I can be in my home, and talking to myself and just asking myself some question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a very interesting thing. Is I do that all the time, actually, Mary. I talk to myself a lot.
Mhm.
Now, May talked about AI, and Barbara talked about AI too, like Chat GPT. Really? So maybe AI can help, you think?
A lot.
Wow. So do you talk to Chat GPT a lot, May?
Yes. My son's homework, I cannot do it. I don't know the answer. I ask just take a photo to ask ChatGPT. It will tell me everything.
Well, now I will say that if you're talking about sort of practical problems, like
Yeah, same.
your kids' homework.
Everything. Like last time, my house, the basement water damage. I asked the ChatGPT. They will show me a lot. What can I do, and who I can contact to fix a problem. A lot of things. The ChatGPT will search on the internet and tell me. Tell me about.
Well, and I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but they've also talked about we may have discussed this before. Gemini. I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but I think Gemini is Google's AI, and you can actually like have a conversation with, you know. Barbara, have you tried it before? Have you tried talking to Gemini or some sort of AI?
Yeah, yesterday my first time.
Wow.
I tried yesterday and so funny. I say about the decoration in my house and they talk a lot about this.
Yeah, in
So
fact,
funny.
they might talk too much. Yeah, but again, I don't have the answer, right? I'm not a professional or a therapist, but I do think it's important to, like you said, Gada and May and Merity, that it's important to kind of talk through a problem. Maybe that's writing it down or talking to yourself, or maybe sometimes again recording your voice, maybe talking to Chat GPT. I mean, again, these all might be very helpful. Of course, you can also talk to a professional, someone who might have experience helping people with problems. Now, God, I don't know about talking to strangers necessarily. I guess it depends on the problem. I don't know if I want to bother a stranger with very serious problems. I think I don't want to sit on the bus and someone think I'm maybe a crazy person for talking about those things. But I do think that it is important to talk to somebody. I agree. So whether it's talking to yourself or talking to someone else, I think that can be very helpful. Well, hey, you guys have come up with some interesting solutions and things to talk about when it comes to the problems we have in our life. And so, yes, when we talk about our expression, writing out a storm, we're talking about the problems we might have. So it could be a real, like physical problem, like weather or tornadoes or, natural disasters, or it could be talking about the problems we might have in our life, especially the serious problems. So that's kind of what we're discussing here this morning. So guys, thanks for sharing these ideas. I hope this was helpful for people. I always think it's good for my students to share their opinions because I'm not an expert. Right, this is not my area, but I do like to see. Usually we can come up with some answers ourselves. Okay, so guys, once again, our expression for today: to ride out the storm. So when we ride out the storm, we try to wait for a difficult situation to pass. But I think we can also understand that we can try to be, active in the situation. Maybe look for help, maybe talk to somebody. So we use this expression just like last night, right? The storms came, we had to ride them out. We had to try to do the best we can. But if we have problems in our life, then that could be a different kind of storm, right? So, all right, guys, thank you so much for sharing your opinions on this topic. Okay, now we have been talking for the last several classes now about relative pronouns. And what I'd like to do is take a few minutes and we're going to do some exercises here today about relative pronouns and clauses. So what I would like to do is talk a little bit in general about this topic, and then kind of come back and review what we've been discussing for the last few weeks. So, for example, I'm going to bring up here on the screen this is from our Burlington grammar lessons. So, using Burlington and using the grammar app, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I don't know if I can zoom in too much. So, we have been talking about using relative pronouns and relative clauses. Let's explain what those are in a more specific way here today. Now, class, let's understand. I'm just trying to introduce the topic to us right now. Okay, so yes, this can be a difficult topic in general. So we're not trying to focus too much on the grammar of the idea. So we tried some exercises the last couple of classes, but I want to make sure everyone understands that we're not trying to, we're not trying to give you too much information. We're trying to get you to begin to understand the process. Okay, so it will seem maybe a little difficult at first. I suspect, though, for many of us, it's probably similar in your language, but this is the first time you've had to think about it in English. So let's take a look here at what it says on the screen. So what it says, when we talk about people or things, we often need to add more information about them, right? So we need more information than just simple ideas. So to do this, we use what's called a relative clause. Okay, now let's start with that idea, a relative clause. Now, again, you might know the word relative as thinking about your parents, right? They're your relatives, brother, sister, these are all example of relatives in our lives. But actually what this is describing is a relative clause is a clause that tries to fit inside of a sentence. It tries to fit somewhere, and it tries to give us more information about some idea in the sentence. Right now, we were talking about this a lot over the last few weeks. So, for example, take a look at the two sentences right here. Okay, take a look at those two sentences. Now, it says, the person who told me about the hotel works with me, right? Or the person that told me about the hotel works with me. Now, we discussed in our last couple of classes that we really have essentially two ideas going on in this sentence. But the key is to think about what are we describing, or what information are we adding to the sentence. So class, in that first sentence, or in the two sentences there, the person who told me about the hotel works with me. So we're trying to describe somebody in this sentence. Who are we describing in this sentence? Are we describing me?
No.
No, the person who told you.
So, for example, let's imagine a picture. Okay, let's think of a picture for just a moment. Okay, now if you notice, the sentence says this person works with me. Right. So, what's another way to say that this person works with me? This person is what? How could we say it? This person works with me. What do we call that? We have another word for that, don't we?
Coworker.
Coworker. That's right.
Coworker.
So my coworker. So my coworker is talking to me, right?
Mhm.
All right. So that's the first thing we can understand. We're describing the coworker, the person, not me. All right. Now, what information do we know about this person? Looking at the sentence, what do we know about this person?
He works in the same place that I work.
That's true. So he's my coworker, or she's my coworker. But what other information did we learn here, Fatima, about this coworker?
Talk.
So
We
he's
talk.
he's talking about the author.
So this person knows some information, right? That
About
so I don't know this information, right? So this coworker knows about this hotel. This person is talking to me. Okay. Now, is this the only coworker I have at work?
No.
No.
Many coworker.
I have lots of other
Other
coworkers.
coworker.
So this coworker knows something, but the other
Yeah.
coworkers maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Now,
but this one no know a lot of things about this hotel.
Now, here's an interesting question for everybody. Do you know somebody like this at your job? Or maybe your neighbor? Do you have that person who seems to know everything? And sometimes they talk about it all the time. Do you know somebody like this who always gives their opinion about something?
Like show up person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you think? Oh, here he goes again. He's going to tell me about this. Yeah, I think this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe this coworker just loves to talk. Who knows? Now, what we're trying to show us here today is this sentence actually has two parts. Remember? This sentence is telling us two things. I have a coworker, right? And this coworker knows some information. But what I'm trying to do is tell you about this specific coworker. So what we're talking about here this morning is this example, who told me about the hotel, right? Who told me about the hotel? This is what we would call a relative clause. Okay. So this is called a relative clause. Now, in our last class, we were learning, or we've been learning, that relative clauses often describe something. So more specifically, relative clauses are often adjective clauses. They help describe some information in the sentence. Now, if I asked you to describe how we know what a relative clause is, well, the first thing we recognize is that a relative clause usually begins with a relative pronoun. So, for example, relative pronouns are some of the words we studied so far in this class. Words like who,
That, which,
that, which. Now, we're going to learn a couple more here this morning.
whose,
Where, and whose. Take a look at those again. So we have who, that, which, where, and whose. Now, I'm going to explain these here in just a moment. But we have been talking a lot about these words here, who, that, and which. And as we learned so far, these particular ideas give us more information. Now, sometimes they are only talking about maybe one person or one thing from the group, or maybe they're describing everybody in the group. Okay, now we talked about that. We're going to come back to that again in just a moment. But let's look at the other sentences here on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to zoom this over here. I'm going to move this over here. Okay. All right, let's talk about the next ideas that we see here. Okay, take a look at these examples. These are the tickets which cost me $400. These are the tickets that cost me $400. Now, what are we describing in this example?
Tickets.
Tickets.
Okay. So we're describing the tickets. And what have we learned about these tickets? We actually, again,
The price.
we've learned about the price, right? But we also learned one other thing, and maybe it's not something you're thinking about. Here's a question for you, class. Did I buy the tickets or not?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because you're showing like kind of like somebody these are the ticket which cost. Oh no, the first one you're already booked. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you look at the sentence. Oh,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
the first one you're already booked. You say like these are the tickets which cost me like 400. You're already you already have it. But the second one, these are the tickets that cost. So the second question, I think you didn't buy yet.
You think so?
Yeah, because kind of like you're showing
Or do
somebody
you?
that
Cost me already cost.
Yeah, but notice what it says though, Verity.
okay, cost me.
Me.
Cost me is ready.
Yeah, all right.
I already bought
The
them.
ticket is ready.
Okay, now class, let's answer this question. This is just our opinion. $400 for tickets? What do you think these tickets are for? If they're $400.
Expensive.
Yeah, but for what? What would you pay $400 for?
Cincinnati Bengals football ticket.
Like a concert.
Wait a minute. You would pay $400 to see the Cincinnati Bengals? Really?
Maybe it's a good space.
Yeah, well,
Like a conference or a concert.
maybe a conference or a concert. A concert. You would pay $400
No, I
for a
can't.
concert? I think Taylor Swift was probably like what?
I pay
$1,000?
for $400 for trip.
I think $400 is a lot of money. So maybe, yeah, Adeline, maybe we take
For
a
whole
trip.
family.
For trip. When you for airplane to trip.
Oh, you're talking about airline tickets. Oh my goodness. Now I don't know. $400. That may not be too expensive for an airline ticket. I don't know.
Going and coming back.
$400 might get me to Chicago. I don't know.
Going
That's not-
and coming back.
Oh, you think it's a return ticket too?
Yes, going and a return ticket.
Let me think about that. Okay. Okay. All right. So Meredy, yes, I think we bought these tickets. Yes. So that we know the price and we already bought them. Oh no. Yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, mate. Maybe it's the Cincinnati Bengals tickets. Though I think $400 Bengals tickets might get you, I don't know, in the parking lot. I don't know. Maybe more money for that. Okay.
More.
Probably. Yeah. Especially if you buy popcorn and food and it's much more. Okay. So again, what have we learned? Well, this sentence is describing the tickets, right? It's describing the tickets, but it's also giving me more information. I already bought them. So again, what we're learning here today is these relative clauses, these ideas can give us more information about the sentence. We just have to learn how to read the sentence. That's what we're doing here this morning. All right, now let's talk about the next idea with the word where. Where. Now, class, when you hear the word where, right? When you hear the word where, what do we think about when we say where?
The
Place.
The
place.
place.
Place. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, I don't know that I like the first example. That's kind of a dumb one. It says the relative pronoun where is used for places, but I like the second one. This is the town where I was born. This is the town where I was born. So we're learning some information. What are we describing in that sentence? Well, we're learning that this is my hometown, right? I was born there. Okay, and what else are we learning in this sentence? What else do you think we're learning? This is the town where I was born.
You give the information.
I born there.
Yeah, I'm giving information. So this makes me wonder, where am I at this moment? If I say this is the town where I was born, where am I at the moment?
Location.
I'm in the hometown.
Maybe I'm already there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe I'm
Because-
looking at Google Maps, right? And I'm
Because-
showing someone this, right? This town. This is where I was.
Pointing out the location.
So maybe I'm showing someone where
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I think that could be possible. So in this case, now we're learning that this was my hometown and maybe I'm there already. Or maybe I'm showing someone where my town is. Okay, that's a little big. Let's see, make it smaller. Ah, it's too small. Okay, so maybe I'm there already.
For
And-
example, I show him the pictures of my my hometown.
So in this case, maybe I'm there, maybe not, but we can see something about the hometown, right? So we can talk about it. We can maybe show someone a picture about it. Very good. So where can give us about a place, but the sentence is giving us more information. Oh, I'm there. I'm at the place. Okay. All right. So again, we're just getting the basic meanings of these ideas here this morning. Let's take a look at the last example. And the last one is using the word whose. Whose. Now maybe you've heard that before. Whose. Right?
Person.
Yeah, it sounds like a person, but here's the difference. We use the word whose when I want to show that something belongs to someone.
Somebody. Yeah.
Take a look at the example here. This is my friend whose sister lives in my building. All right, now who am I describing in this sentence? Am I describing me, my friend, or the friend's sister?
The friend's sister.
My sister.
A friend's sister.
Are you sure?
No, my friend.
My friend, my sister. No, my sister.
You're describing the friend.
Okay, so I've heard every possible answer now. Mr. John, you're describing everybody. Okay, it's tricky, isn't it? Yeah, the truth is I'm describing my friend, but I'm describing my friend because of their relationship to the
With my
person.
sister.
The person who lives like close to you on your building.
So what are some things we understand about the sentence? I'm describing my friend. I'm giving you more information about my friend, right?
Mhm.
That's one thing. So what else are we describing? Well, the friend has a sister.
Has a sister who lives in your building.
And the sister lives close to me.
Mhm.
Wow. Now this is amazing. I am giving 2 pieces of information, 3 pieces of information at the same time. So I have a friend. Well, that's amazing, right? I have a friend. Mr. John, you have a friend? The friend has a sister. And the friend's sister lives in my building. So now I'm giving you 3 pieces of information here. I've got a friend, the friend has a sister, the friend lives in my building. So in some ways, I understand our confusion because it sounds like I'm describing the sister. Well, the truth is I'm describing a little bit about the sister, right? I mean, we learned something about the sister, didn't we? What did you learn about the sister? Well,
she lives on the building.
She lives in my building, and she's the sister here of
my friend.
My friend.
I know. So probably I know both of these people, or maybe I know both. So in some ways, class, you were correct. I'm describing both my friend and my sister and my friend's sister. But the important thing is I'm using my friend in that part of the sentence. So when I'm introducing, this is my friend, right? So now we're missing one other idea. Look carefully. When do you say, this is my friend? When do you say that?
If the friend is like close to me, he's right here with me.
Okay, so Meredy, who am I talking to?
So, like to other people.
We forgot there's another person in this sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't think about that, did we? Class, when we introduce someone, what do we say? Hey, Mr. John, this is my...
My friend.
My friend.
Nobody has friends here? Come on. Okay, this is my friend. Right? Do I have to... Yeah, do I have to... can I introduce you to my dog? My dog's right here. Do we introduce you? No, okay. So in this case, so actually, yeah, this sentence is telling us there are actually 4 people we're talking about. Me, my friend, their sister, and
My building.
And well, building's not a person, is it? But I am introducing this person to someone else. Now, class, what we're trying to learn here this afternoon or this morning is that these sentences here, because we are using what we call relative clauses, these relative clauses, right, they describe things in the sentence. They describe people, they describe places, but they can give us more information. And sometimes when we look at the idea, wow, they're giving us lots of interesting information about these ideas. Now, what I would like to do here this morning, so our time's getting short. I'd like for us to try some activities, okay? Now, I don't think we'll have time to do all of the activities, so I think we'll just do one group activity first. And then next week, we'll kind of continue the idea. But let's come back for just a moment and think about, let's try to find some relative clauses, okay? Gotta.
Yes, I'd like to ask about the comma. I noticed that the comma is existing in the last situation only.
So the first thing I'll tell you, just I don't want to confuse us too much here this morning, but this is another way to show. So if you recall last week or last class, we talked about restrictive and non-restrictive.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
this is another way to show, I'm trying to write here on the screen. Sorry, guys. This is another way to show that this information is what we call non-restrictive.
It's not important.
Well, it's not essential to the sentence. You see, this is what you discovered. What is the main idea of this sentence? What's the main idea? What's the main purpose
To
of the
introduce
sentence?
someone.
To introduce someone.
Not
Yeah.
the sister. Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Now the sister part is nice. Now I don't know about you guys, but whenever you're introducing two people, do you sometimes try to think of information that might help this person know who the person is? My wife loves to do this. Okay. My wife will say, for example, my wife will say, do you remember Susan, who used to live next to us, blah, 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 and who also did this and who also did this and who also did this? And I'll just say, I don't remember Susan at all. Okay. But do you
As
do
the
this?
women are multitasking.
Yeah. So for example, is this something women do all the time? They try to give you as much information as possible to see if you remember.
Connect all details.
Yes, because men, we can't pay attention to anything. Okay. We can watch TV. That's what we can do. Right. But my wife would say, do you remember Susan? She does this and lives here. Remember she lives here. She lives here. And I'll just look at her and I'll say, no. No, actually what I say is, oh, of course, honey. Yes, I remember. Yes, please continue. Just please keep talking. Yeah, because I don't know. I don't remember it. Okay. See, Miriam, see, it's not just me. It's not just me. But anyway, yes, there you go. Yeah. So guys, let's feel sorry for the husbands just for a moment. Okay. Just for a moment. Feel sorry. Okay. Good. But in this case, the information is not necessary to the sentence because the main idea of the sentence is I'm introducing my friend. But this extra information is helping us remember something about the friend. So probably the person you're introducing may know the sister. Yeah, sometimes there's connections, right? Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to confuse us, but this would be an example, Gata, of another kind of non-restrictive example. Okay. Now let's not worry about that right now. Okay, but that's a good question. All right, let's jump real quickly to an activity. Okay, these are great questions, but I would like to look at this first activity. Now, here on the screen, this is a letter. Okay, this is a letter, and this letter has lots of information. Now, we're not going to read the letter right now. Instead, what I would like for us to do is let's look for some relative pronouns. So what I'd like to do is let's just kind of focus on the very first part of the reading. So let me circle it here on the screen for us. Okay. I'm going to circle just the first part. Now, I apologize if it's kind of small, so if you need to use your finger to make it bigger, I can't make it any bigger. I've tried, okay? So, but let me read it real quickly. And class, you help me. See if you can help me find some of those relative pronouns. So remember, words like who, or that or which or where or whose. Okay, so let's take a look. So it says, Dear Paula, Steve and I have just gotten back from a wonderful vacation. It was the best vacation that I've ever had. We stayed in a hotel which Jack recommended to us. It's not a chain hotel. Apparently, it is privately owned by a guy whose wife works with Jack. Okay, now class, let's go back for a moment. Can we find words like who, that, which, where, or whose? So who would like to help us? Adeline?
Which and whose?
Okay, so let's start with which. Okay, so
We stay in the hotel which Jack recommended to us.
very good, Adeline. In fact, you did a good job there to identify where it stops, which Jack recommended to us. Okay, excellent. Okay, Huang, you said you found another one?
I found two, that and whose.
All right, so help me with
okay.
that. So that.
Yeah,
So
that's
where's
what of application that I have ever had.
okay? So we can go all the way to the end. Okay. Okay. All right, and then you said whose?
Who a guy whose wife worked with Jack.
Okay. All right, so look at the three pieces of information we're learning so far. So it's a vacation, right? It was a best vacation. We stayed in a specific hotel, and we're describing a specific guy. Now, for example, if we go back to the hotel example, let's go back to the hotel. So we stayed in a hotel. Okay, now that's the important sentence. That's the important part of the sentence. But class, there are lots of hotels, right? I mean, there are lots and lots of hotels. Which hotel did I choose?
With Jack
They choose
recommend.
Jack
So,
recommend to him.
that's right. So Jack recommended the hotel. So what does that tell me about Jack? What are we learning about Jack?
That
Whose wife
Jack
works
is,
with Jack?
Well, hold on. Fatima, you tell me.
yeah, Jack lived before in this hotel. And
Lived?
Do
you think he's
yeah,
lived in this hotel?
yeah, lived before.
Or maybe just visited?
Yeah, or visited.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
he know a lot of things about this hotel.
So Jack knows the hotel, right?
Yeah.
So Barbara, was that your idea that Jack knows this hotel?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Jack, now Jack, is Jack a friend? What do you think, Barbara?
Whose wife works with Jack, right?
So somebody we know Jack some way, right? He's not some stranger on the street. We know Jack, right? You said his wife. We know his wife, which means we know Jack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I mean, would you take a recommendation from a stranger on the street, Barbara?
No.
Would you walk up to someone and say, "Excuse me, can you recommend a hotel?"
No.
Yeah, might be a bad idea. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Okay. All right, but you did tell me something else about Jack, and that is he has a wife.
Yes.
And in this case, yeah. However, let's look carefully here. It says apparently it is owned by a guy whose wife works with Jack. So do I work with the wife or does somebody else work with the wife? Who works with the wife?
Jack.
Jack
Somebody
works
else.
somebody else, not me.
Yeah.
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 So maybe I know Jack. Maybe Jack is a friend, and then Jack's friend knows Jack's his friend's wife works with Jack. Confusing, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, this is like my wife talking to me, trying to explain who Jack is, right? Jack's wife does this and does that. And I just say, please, let's just talk about the hotel. Just tell me the hotel. All right. Okay. I think we're going to stop there for our first sort of experiment here, our first look at using these types of pieces of information, because they can tell us lots of interesting things. So that's kind of where we're going to continue here in our next class, is we're going to kind of look at a few more examples, and then we're going to try some examples by ourselves, thinking about how we can use this information. Okay, so I think we'll stop there for today, but I think we've gotten off to a good start, practicing with words like who and which and that, and of course the word whose. All right, well, guys, I'm going to stop there for now. I want to thank everybody so much for joining us. So I will send us an activity to practice with next time. But everybody, please stay safe. I think we still have lots of rain and other things, so please be careful. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Teacher.
you.
John.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you
Bye-bye.
Tuesday.